You're watching Canada's Superstation, NTV.
Hello, I'm Tony Marie Wiseman. Welcome to the Week in Review. We begin our look back at the top stories of this past week with a government decision that will affect most all motorists in the province. The agony of the annual vehicle inspection is now a thing of the past. Government relaxed its regulations on inspections, claiming the general public was responsible enough to maintain vehicles in proper running order. It is a decision that Transportation Minister John Efford says will save the public $3.5 million. Kevin Simmons now with the details.
We have found no evidence to prove, either nationally, and we certainly have no evidence to prove provincially, that accidents are caused by the vehicles, by the safety of vehicles on the highway.
Today, Works Services and Transportation Minister John Efford announced that you are no longer required to bring your vehicle to a garage for its annual inspection. To get a license renewal, any car that is 4 years or older was required to get an inspection at an authorized vehicle inspection station. This onus is now on you to make sure your vehicle is in a safe running condition. To help you, there will be random roadside inspections. The minister says he has every confidence that people are not going to operate an unsafe vehicle. These new regulations affect cars, light trucks, and vans under 4,500 kilograms. All commercial vehicles, vehicles that are being sold, and taxis are still required inspections.
The onus now is back on the owner of the operator of the vehicle as opposed to the inspection station.
Gary Ball, owner-operator of one inspection station in St. John's called CarFix, feels that this might be good for the industry.
Kevin, I don't think there's going to be any great impact on the service industry. The only thing I can see is probably being, instead of having a rush at the end of each month, we're probably going to see our work spread out over the 12 months or however many working days we're here.
Only time will tell if this new system will work. One thing is for sure, everyone now will be looking out their own car windows, doing a quick inspection of their neighbor's car. For the NTV Evening News, I'm Kevin Simmons.
Reaction to government's announcement to eliminate mandatory inspections for vehicles has for the most part been negative. On Thursday evening, mechanics, garage owners, representatives from the insurance industry and members of the general public met in St. John's to voice their concerns and to plan a protest at Confederation Building. On Thursday, garage owners, who stand to lose millions, were left reeling by the announcement. Kevin Simmons with more on the story.
Chris Power of Royal Garage is upset over the new motor vehicle inspection changes. He says government should have consulted the auto industry before making them.
Nobody contacted anybody from this dealership with regards to our feelings about this issue. Nobody contacted the St. John's Automobile Association about this. Nobody contacted the service station owners about this. There's been no research.
Yesterday, Works, Services and Transportation Minister John Efford announced the elimination of those inspections on vehicles 4 years and older. Today, reaction was swift. Power says the public is not always aware of their vehicle problems.
No problems with it. When we inspected it, we found out the ball joints, idler arms, and tie rod ends were all gone in the vehicle. That vehicle was not safe to be on the road. As far as that customer was concerned, or that gentleman was concerned, it was safe. He didn't know the difference. He's driving.
Power thinks inspections should remain, and vehicles that need repairs should be repaired. What do other people feel about the changes? We asked several for their opinion.
What do you think of that?
I don't think it's a good idea. I think for safety purposes you need to have the cars inspected when they're older.
Save a few dollars for some people. Probably make it worse on the roads for all the older models. I think it's a bit too much, I think. I don't know how they're going to be able to check all the car.
Well, at least if it has to be done, you know it's going to be done. But if it doesn't have to be done, it's just something else you can put off and not do.
A man closely associated with the Newfoundland Dockyards operation for the past 2 years says the facility is doomed. David Watson left the dockyard as its business manager over a week ago after some international contracts he had negotiated were scuttled by the yard's operators, Marine Atlantic. As NTV's Jim Toms reports from Monday, David Watson says the Newfoundland dockyard is on a course for shutdown in the next year or two.
See this briefcase? It belongs to David Watson, business manager at the Newfoundland dockyard until last week. He says that inside is $1 billion worth of business that could have gone through the dockyard over the next several years. But he was stymied by the decision of Marine Atlantic President Rod Morrison that the yard must confine itself to markets in Atlantic Canada.
If we are to pursue only business in Atlantic Canada, there's absolutely no need for the cost of a business development group. So the decision was made by the group that we would eliminate that department.
So his position as business manager in effect became redundant, a frustrating departure for him after success in negotiating international deals.
I was pretty angry. I think the group was pretty angry. I personally felt that Mr. Morrison was either ill-informed or not very smart. Because,
one of the deals that fell by the wayside was a $200 million contract to build 39 fishing vessels for Peru. That was reported on NTV last week.
Your report that I saw when I got back on the weekend is substantially correct. There are also other opportunities that were at a similar stage. All of those opportunities have been offered to other Canadian companies. They are in various stages of completion.
David Watson's view is that international work is the only hope for the dockyard.
Mr. Morrison and Transport Canada, through the voice of Moya Green, have doomed the Newfoundland dockyard. It cannot survive. There is not enough business for it to survive.
Latest reports are that Mr. Morrison will be in St. John's in a couple of weeks to present to union and management his view on charting a new course for the dockyard.
And yet we were being blocked at every step.
Jim Toms, NTV News, St. John's.
Their interest is playing hero.
They were breathing a sigh of relief on Monday evening at Bull Arm. The 120,000-ton gravity-based structure was towed to its new site, and the move went off without a hitch. It rests now in a deep-water construction site where the monumental task of completing the structure will take place.
It was a nerve-wracking day as they set out, moving one of the world's heaviest floating structures on its maiden voyage. In the worst scenario, it could have grounded or sunk. But the move was virtually flawless. It was a slow, snail-paced tow, moving about a meter a minute, until by the end of the day, the GBS was well anchored in 200 meters of water to be made ready for the next stage of construction. That phase is known as concrete slip forming. It involves raising the structure from its present 18 to its full height of 111 meters. It was a proud day for HMDC President Ken Hull, and other officials echoed the significance of another milestone in this massive project.
That's right. We have really two focuses. We have the gravity-based structure, which is the concrete support for the topsides oil drilling and production facilities. We have one super module that's being built here at Bull Arm. It will come out onto our assembly pier in the spring of next year, and we have 4 other super modules that all are welded together to form the topsides. And those modules will be in 2-week intervals beginning in the April-May timeframe.
The work of concrete slip forming will begin next month and continue through the winter. Later on, the topside modules, being constructed at various sites around the world, including one at Bull Arm, will be mated with the GBS before the entire structure is towed out to the production site offshore 2 years from now. The first flow of oil, in an estimated 30-year production schedule, is set to take place in December of 1997. Right now, over 7,000 people are working on the Hibernia project, including 3,400 at the Bull Arm site. The project has spent close to $3 billion, just over $1 billion here in Newfoundland.
The NTV News Week in Review will continue in just a moment.
I'm Michael Connors. Join me every weekend on NTV's Issues and Answers as I interview the province's top newsmakers. That's Issues and Answers, airing at 12:30 every Sunday on NTV, 12 noon in most of Labrador.
I'm Beth Penny. We could all use a little bit of good news these days, so join me Monday nights on the award-winning NTV Evening News Hour for Silver Linings.
Welcome back. The Highland insurance story isn't over yet. Policyholders with a now insolvent insurance company are now calling for a full-fledged public inquiry into exactly what happened and why. About 150 people rallied in the lobby of Confederation Building on Tuesday afternoon. They were daring Justice Minister Ed Roberts to come down and speak to them. He didn't. NTV's Jim Toms now with the story.
They were noisy and angry and frustrated and blunt. They didn't mind what they said or how they said it, daring the company or government or anyone to take them to court, where they said they would get the hearing they want. And there's a lot of them who held insurance policies with Highland through brokers J.J. Lacey and Central.
20,000 Newfoundlanders robbed of 20,000 robbed of 20 million, at least $20 million at stake.
Bill Kelly said they all had horror stories, like the senior citizen who said he couldn't afford what he lost.
I'm after paying $500 for my insurance with Lacey, and now it's cancelled, or it will be cancelled, so they say, and I just got to park my car because I can't afford to pay another $500. I just don't have it, you know.
I just want to be covered to the end of my policy. That's it. I don't want money back. I just want my insurance to be honored. That's it.
My money is gone. $2,500 just gone.
So what do you think should be done now?
Somebody should pay for it.
We stayed with Lacey's and paid out our money the 2nd of July, $1,475 for 4 months insurance. Now I have to turn around and pay out another however much, $1,400 again.
We want a public inquiry. We want to know what went wrong, who caused it to go wrong, and we want to make sure that there are recommendations in place so this never happens again.
What they did here today was to take names and addresses of policyholders. They're going to form an association, and they may make further announcements on other rallies and other meetings as they pursue trying to get back some of the money they say they've lost. At Confederation Building, Jim Toms, NTV News.
Then on Thursday, another development in the Highland insurance situation. Coopers and Lybrand, the court-appointed liquidators of Highland, announced that some of the assets of J.J. Lacey Insurance and Central Insurance Services have been transferred to the insurance brokerage firm of Alexander and Alexander. The development on Thursday was not the sale news that customers had been waiting for. Jim Furlong now with the story.
They did everything on time.
Policyholders from the J.J. Lacey and Central Insurance Companies have been looking for help from somewhere. Left high and dry because of the collapse of Highland Insurance, they've taken their case to the doors of government. For the past several days, there had been rumors of a sale of Highland Insurance to an unnamed buyer. That rumored sale was not the deal announced today. What has been agreed to is a transfer of some of the assets of J.J. Lacey and Central Insurance to another firm, Alexander and Alexander. Those assets, it turns out, are limited to files and client information. Jim Kirby is a senior vice president with Coopers and Lybrand, the liquidators.
It's a sale of the book of business, the client files and the files of the customers of J.J. Lacey and Central Insurance Services Limited. As I've said, what that will result in is increased return to the creditors of Highland.
We have to be very careful that we don't convey to anyone that we have any rights or have assumed any obligations to clients, policyholders, for return premiums or for claims. We have no legal standing in that issue whatsoever. We can only go forward from this moment.
Going forward for Alexander and Alexander means selling insurance, but it is, at this stage, difficult to say exactly how many clients of J.J. Lacey and Central Insurance are left. The newspapers in recent days have been filled with advertisements from insurance companies looking to sign up the clients of the foundering companies. This is Jim Froling reporting for the NTV Evening News.
In other news now, there was a dramatic development at the second-degree murder trial of Randy Druken on Tuesday. Druken is charged in connection with the stabbing and strangling death of Brenda Young in June of last year. On Tuesday, the judge in the case told the jury that there is no basis for suggestions of a connection between the case and a case taking place in another courtroom. The judge's comments came following a broadcast report suggesting a conspiracy that would involve a hostage-taking. All of this had the courtroom at the Randy Druken trial in an uproar on Tuesday. Darren Rogers has the story.
Mr. Justice Robert Wells addressed the jury this afternoon, referring to a broadcast on another network that alleged connections between a trial of a police officer, stolen police weapons, and the Randy Druken trial, referencing a possible hostage-taking. Some of the jury had seen the broadcast. Mr. Justice Wells told them of Randy Druken and the case they will be rendering a decision on, that it's necessary there be a presumption of innocence, that the defendant is presumed innocent unless convicted at a fair trial. The judge told the jury that he and counsel were very concerned and that a suggestion like that is detrimental, in my view, to the presumption of innocence. He said he didn't want them to feel there was something happening that only court officials knew about. Mr. Justice Robert Wells told the jury that he spoke with the head of court security and asked him, "To your knowledge, is there anything to these suggestions?" The response he said he got was, "I've made inquiries, and in my view, there is no foundation, in fact, to these suggestions." On the stand for the second day in a row was 11-year-old Cindy Young, daughter of the deceased Brenda Young. She was shielded from the view of the accused and the public by a partition. Today, under cross-examination by defense lawyer Bill Collins, when asked if the voice she heard tell her mother to be quiet the night her mother was murdered could have been someone other than the accused Randy Druken, the little girl said, "Probably." Bill Collins will continue his cross-examination of the young girl tomorrow. For the NTV Evening News, I'm Darren Rogers.
A bloodstain pattern expert says Brenda Young's body was moved after she was stabbed to death at her home in St. John's last June. The testimony was consistent with an earlier witness who alleged that Randy Druken confessed the murder. Sergeant Victor Gorman testified on Thursday that he reached the conclusion by investigating the murder scene and studying photographs. Sergeant Gorman was on the stand on Friday at the second-degree murder trial of Randy Druken. Darren Rogers now with the details.
A much different picture of the accused Randy Druken was painted today for the court by 11-year-old Cindy Young. She told the court that Randy Druken helped her with her homework, especially math and spelling, which he was good at, that he would take her shopping on her birthday. On one occasion, he asked her if she wanted her ears pierced on her birthday, but when she saw the ear gun, she got scared. She said, "He gave me $20 to get my ears pierced for free when I was ready." The little girl told the court that Randy Druken helped her with her housework, helping her do the dishes. She said Randy Druken thought her mother, Brenda Young, was beautiful. She was asked by defense lawyer Bill Collins, "Did you like Randy?" She answered yes. She was asked, "Was he good to you?" The little girl said yes. However, she admitted that after her mom's death, she was scared that Randy Druken would come looking for her. She was scared that Randy knew that she had heard something the night her mother was killed. She said she had a nightmare that Randy came to Nan's house and camped out in the basement stairs and came to shoot us all. She was asked by Bill Collins if a police constable told her that Randy Druken killed her mother. She answered, "I think so." When asked by Crown Attorney Wayne Gorman, she said, "Yes." He asked her if she was certain of that. The little girl said, "Yes, yes." The girl also told the court that herself and her brother, her mom, and Randy had a lot of good times together. For the NTV Evening News, I'm Darren Rogers.
The NTV News Week in Review will continue in just a moment.
I awake here at the edge of the unknown universe. I sense all. I am life, rising from pure space, a dimension beyond man's imagination. I have seen many wondrous things, but I remain forever transfixed by one, a pale blue planet amid an endless sea of stars, Earth. Many of your millennia ago, My ancestors came to your planet and colonized the great civilization of Atlantis. You regarded us as godlike, our benevolent presence forming the basis of your most ancient civilizations. Within a few centuries, you began to isolate yourselves from one another. Suspicion, greed, and jealousy quickly turned to fear and hatred. Violence and war followed. We have watched in horror as humankind began to destroy one another. The city of Atlantis had been our greatest gift to humanity, to be the repository of all future knowledge. But knowing it could be used for great evil, we created a singular vessel to hold us and swept Atlantis away forever. Many of your lifetimes passed before the tip of Atlantis was found once again. A strange power beckoned a Norse explorer to rest upon her ancient shores. His name was Leif Erikson. Today, you call this discovery Newfoundland. Your histories tell us of individuals who held the Atlantean knowledge, who set their sights on new horizons, and through great hardships made the imagined real. You took pride in your theories and machines of ever greater complexity. But it has fragmented your spirit and hurled you further away from true wisdom of life and its purpose. To connect with the oneness, the source of the universe. Now I, known to you as Captain Atlantis, the spirit of life from the universal mind, will answer your call. There are already children among you with exceptional gifts. They are the seeds of your future, and you must free them. Your nation's spirit will be known as Captain Canada. You can bring peace and understanding to the world through your deeds and actions. You have so little understanding of your powers, but you will learn. You will master the source energies of your world, communicate telepathically, and control the future with your thoughts. And you will finally achieve true understanding. You will build a new world of cooperation and prosperity. Then I will diminish and travel beyond all form. Eternity is your word for what awaits you, for there truly is no end.
Welcome back to the Week in Review. St. John's South MHA Tom Murphy had an emotional defense on Thursday in the House of Assembly against opposition suggestions that he had done something wrong. Mr. Murphy has been claiming a per diem while the House has been sitting because he has an apartment in St. John's. His house, however, is in Torres Cove. That's brought him $6,000 a year for the past 5 years. The opposition says it wants an investigation. Jim Toms had this report from Wednesday.
I did absolutely nothing wrong.
That was Tom Murphy in the House this afternoon. He's allowed to claim a per diem of $75 as travel allowance from his home in Torres Cove while the House is in session, even though he has an apartment in the city.
And only because I was advised by the Speaker's office that I didn't have to stay at Holiday Inn or any other hotel. You all know how sometimes you're here till midnight or 11 or 12 o'clock or what have you. That apartment, have all the bills, all the receipts, cost me about $11,000 a year. My per diem was $6. That means I subsidized the apartment by $5. It also means that I had to keep my home up, pay the cable, the phone, the light in my home, pay the cable, the phone, the light in the apartment. I have 2 bills for everything.
The fact of the matter, Mr. Speaker, is this, that there are questions surrounding it.
Kilbride MHA Ed Byrne brought it to the House. He wants an investigation, but denied he has already reached a conclusion that Mr. Murphy did anything wrong.
And it's not my place to reach that conclusion. It is the place of the Speaker of the House of Assembly and his office. I think that I think the onus certainly was on both the opposition and myself as the employment critic, Mr. Murphy's critic, to raise the questions because...
Mr. Byrne asked the Premier to look into it, and the Premier says he will.
Well, the allegations that were made by the member in the House today, and I'll take a look at it.
But Tom Murphy says any investigation shouldn't just focus on him alone.
If there is going to be an investigation, and if the member from Kilbride wants an investigation, then so be it. I have no problem with it. But let it fall on 52 members, not on me.
From the House of Assembly, Jim Towns, NTV News.
Well, what could have been an incident that ended in tragedy was averted on Wednesday afternoon in the West End of St. John's. Quick-thinking health officials and police brought to a happy conclusion an unfortunate incident. Fred Hutton has more.
At about 2 o'clock this afternoon, police were forced to reroute traffic from an area of Waterford Bridge Road near the east end of Bowring Park because a woman had climbed onto the railing of the overpass and was threatening to jump. When police arrived on the scene, the woman, who was approximately 30 years old, asked to see her doctor. When her doctor arrived, police were able to get the woman off the railing. She was detained under the Mental Health Act. Dave O'Leary was passing by when police stopped traffic. He said it took them about 30 minutes to get the woman down.
What did you see?
This young girl was out over the bridge ready to jump. Stayed watched for about 20 minutes. Police moved in on her slowly. She turned her head and he just flicked her off onto the sidewalk. It's all over.
How'd you get her?
A young Newfoundlander is making a name for himself in the Ontario Junior Hockey League. He is 15-year-old Daniel Cleary of Riverhead Conception Bay. His family recognized Daniel's talent and realized that he would have to move away in order to further develop his skills and hopefully someday make it to the NHL. During his first year in the OHL, the 5-foot, 11-inch, 190-pound left winger is turning some heads. With more, here is NTV's Fred Hutton.
Daniel Cleary may be the Ontario Hockey League's youngest player, but in his first 20 games with the Belleville Bulls, he scored 18 goals and set up 20. That put him third among the top 10 scorers in the league. 5 of those points came in his very first game.
Obviously, really boosted me up big time. You know, I went in training camp really intimidated. You know, coming in as 15 years old. But the first game, you know, my line mates, even my whole team just boosted me right up. You know, made me feel just like home.
The young Newfoundlander left his hometown of Riverhead last year to play Tier 2 for Kingston. It's been a major adjustment, but he knows the sacrifice will be worth it.
It's really tough, you know, I get really homesick, but it's hard, you know, so I got to keep in touch with everyone back home and just try to keep you focused on hockey in school, you know.
Gary Mavety has been coaching the Belleville Bulls for 14 years. Mavety says he's seen a lot of talented players, but says he's never seen a 15-year-old as good as Cleary.
The puck seems to follow him. He's one of those guys that you'll be watching the game and all of a sudden you'll look up and say, well, where'd this 8 come from?
Mavety put Cleary on a line with Brian Secord and Craig Mills. The line is affectionately known as the Fireman Line.
And I got the red shirts, so we just something to joke around with, you know, get us going in the games when we're all down, and it really motivates us. You know, when someone says, oh, there's a fire in Pizza Hut, little sign, and then we all go, okay, let's go put it out.
Daniel Cleary is on pace to score 116 points this year. When Mario Lemieux was 15 and played in the Quebec Junior League, he only racked up 96 points. This young sensation looks up to Wayne Gretzky. Already, scouts are watching him closely, and LA Kings scout John Stanton sees similarities with 99.
I'm not saying he's a Wayne Gretzky, but he's his best kid I've seen since him at the same age. This guy looks like a first-rounder, early first-rounder right now.
It dawns on me, you know, NHL, but I love to play there, but I just take it day by day, you know, my first year in the league, just get my feet wet, you know, get used to everything around.
And that concludes our look back at the week's top stories. I'm Tony Marie Wiseman. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Week in Review. A reminder, please watch the NTV Evening News weeknights at 6, 5:30 in Labrador here on NTV, and please enjoy the rest of your weekend.